Hello everyone, Katarina here. Welcome to my YouTube channel. First of all, Happy New Year. I hope your 2020, the last year of the decade, will be absolutely amazing for you. So for the first card of the year, I will be making a Valentine's Day card. I will be making two versions of this card, where I will be creating a background with hearts. Both cards are extremely simple. This card is part of my new series, or what I'm hoping to be series, where I will be making cards that are very simple without using any stamps or dies. So if you want to make cards now and then, or you are just starting and don't want to be spending too much money on supplies, I hope you will get some inspiration here. First, the supplies. If you want to skip through this part, I will pop on the screen the time when I'm starting with a card. On the screen are all the supplies I will be using for both cards, but for the first card you only need 4 things. First is the card base. I cut my own card bases. I use an A4 size 300 GSM heavy cardstock, and I use my paper trimmer to cut it in half, and then I fold the paper in half to create a standard A6 card that will fit into the typical envelope. But if you do not have a paper trimmer and do not want to buy one, then you can just get a pre-scored card base. They are often sold in packs together with envelopes. I will leave the list of supplies in the description below, and also on my blog I will try to add the links to some shops. You definitely don't need to use the exact supplies I'm using here. It can be from different brands. I chose these because I had them at home. Anyways, you will also need a pencil, eraser, and a black fine liner. Because I am not good at drawing, to make it easier, I draw a heart on a scrap of paper and I cut it out to use it as a stencil. I just wanted to have the hearts in the same size. Before drawing the hearts, and this is optional, I wrote a sentiment in the right bottom corner. I just wrote the words "love you" with a pencil, and then I started with the hearts. You can position the hearts as you want. You can position them at an angle, or like me here, straight. I started in the middle and then I filled out the whole card. The hearts on the edge are only partial, just like you would have when you would cut out a pattern paper. This is why I like to start in the middle. It's not perfectly visible on the screen because of the light, and I use the pencil very lightly. This way it's easier to erase it. Next, I took the black fine liner and I started following the lines I drew with a pencil, starting with the sentiment. This is a fine liner from Faber-Castell. I bought it in a local store. It's waterproof, which is going to be important for the next card. I definitely would recommend getting a fine liner, not a gel pen, because gel pens tend to smudge and you would then ruin your card. Also, I didn't follow the pencil lines of the hearts 100%. I wanted them to be slightly different. I waited a minute or two for the ink to dry, and then I took my eraser to erase the pencil lines. You can leave it like this, but looking at the card, I thought the card needed few smaller hearts. So I went back with the pencil, drew few smaller hearts, then I went over it with the black fine liner, and lastly I erased the pencil lines. And this is a finished card. I think it looks quite nice considering I only used a fine liner. Very simple, nothing over the top. I really like it. But let's move on to the next card. Here I'm going to be doing the same thing with the hearts, but I will be adding a little bit of color using watercolors. That's why I'm using a waterproof fine liner. Except of the fine liner, pencil, and an eraser, you will also need a watercolor cardstock. This is very important. If you would just use the same cardstock as for the first card, this would not take water very well. You also need watercolors. I have a small palette from Winsor & Newton. Again, you don't need this exact palette. Just use what you have or what is in your price range. Then I will be using a watercolor brush. My one is a no-name brush in the size 7. Size 6 would be also good. And of course you will need water and a paper towel. I cut my watercolor cardstock in half to create an A6 panel. I will adhere it on top of a card base later. But again, if you do not want to be buying a paper trimmer, then the best is to get a block of watercolor cardstock, 300 GSM in the size A5. This way, when you fold it, you will get the A6 size. Just as with the first card, I started drawing with a pencil. I started first with the sentiment and then I drew the hearts. After I was finished with that, I went back with the black fine liner and then I erased the pencil lines. After that, I chose the colors I wanted to use and mixed them with a little bit of water on a white plate. You do not need this plate. I could have mixed the colors on the watercolor palette, but I'm just lazy to clean it, and cleaning the plate is much easier. So I started the watercoloring. You can stay within the lines if you want, but I like the messy look when it's outside of the lines. When it comes to the combinations of colors, I was just playing. You can choose colors that you like, or since it's a Valentine's Day card, then the colors your partner likes. I actually made 3 cards. One was my prototype, then this card, and then I made a third card that I think my boyfriend would like, but I did not press the record button. But you will see this card at the end. I'm just saying that because I'm not overly excited about the color combinations. This is my least favorite card of the 3. But I was just playing. You can use 2 colors and mix them together, or mix multiple colors. You can just use 1 color and do an ombre effect. Just make sure they complement each other, otherwise they will look muddy. You can do wet on wet technique, where you first apply clear water on the paper and then you add the color, or just apply the color without wetting the paper. You can also make it more saturated or softer. It's all up to you. One little tip, make sure you clean your brush before you use new color so your colors don't end up muddy. This happened to me and then it looks like the 3rd heart I colored on this card. But again, I was really playing with the colors, trying what works and what not. My favorite were the color combos purple and blue, purple and red, and the ombre green. I also like blue and green. I think watercolors are the best medium when you are starting card making. You can create easy backgrounds or do messy watercoloring, which doesn't require any specific artist skill. I will try to do more cards like these. My aim is to do 2 cards a month. Sadly, I cannot do more because I don't have a good crafting space and soon I will be traveling again, just like last year. But I don't want to leave my channel without videos like last year. Making cards while traveling is quite easy, but filming not so much. But I will try, so make sure you subscribe. So this is the other card I made when I forgot to press the record button. And here I want to show you what I do before I adhere the panel on top of a card base. I often find the panels to be either the exact size or slightly bigger than the card base. Even when it's the exact size, I find it quite difficult to adhere it straight. So what I do to make it easier to adhere, I take my paper trimmer and I trim 1 millimeter on each side of the panel, or 2 millimeters on the top and 2 millimeters on the side. This creates sort of a frame and I find it easier to follow the line of the card base to adhere the panel. To adhere the panel, I used a double-sided tape. I really like the one on a roll because I think it just lasts longer compared to a roller adhesive. And here are the finished cards, super simple with a minimal amount of supplies. And here is also my trial card. I used purples, reds and yellows. The reason why I did not remake this card is because my card is going to a guy. So I decided to use the colors he would like more, like blues and greens. And also I cannot forget the first card, the black and white card. I really like this one as well. It just could not be more simpler. I hope you like these cards as well. I would really appreciate if you gave this video a thumbs up and also subscribe if you haven't done so already. You can follow me on Instagram and Pinterest and hop over to my blog where I have photos of the cards and often I include more information as well. All the links you can find in the description below this video. Thank you all so much for watching and I will see you in my next video.